The African opportunity is overcoming challenges. That's the opportunity, okay? Every challenge that is crossed, that is dealt with in Africa simply means that a solution has worked, okay? And that solution, typically given the state of development of African economies, is very transformational, okay? And I say to most people that any developmental venture in Africa will qualify for impact criteria anywhere in the world. And so the conference has done something very, very important. It has brought bright minds, committed individuals, okay, to think through how do we begin alternative and transformational ways to solve, Africa's problems, which is what I'm about, and that's why I was excited to participate. Being an entrepreneur is not easy anywhere, okay? And I don't think that entrepreneurial challenges in advanced markets are less, or more than you have in developing markets like Africa is, okay? However, of course, the ease of doing business is a different thing. Maybe the quality of life is a different thing, okay? But in terms of the returns that I have participated in, I think that you could become a Zuckerberg in Nigeria or in South Africa, or in Kenya, okay? Maybe not as much money, but then, what are we doing with all that money anyway? So the message is really that Africa is a land full of opportunities, but it requires huge talents, probably, a different type of talent that is not just capable, but that is inspired to make change. If you're that kind of person, Africa invites you, Africa welcomes you, because, your influence and impact on Africa makes you, whether you're an African or not, as much vested as Africans. On a practical level, the free trade agreement has been signed off by most countries, but probably the biggest, which is Nigeria, no. Okay, and I think maybe the Nigerian government's position, which also reflects in a sense, okay, the position of some players in the private sector, puts the elephant on the table, and this is simply this. Okay, for economies that have highly entrepreneurial private sectors that are local, okay, the question is going to be, all right, from a competitive standpoint, and I'm not talking about an African competing against an African. We are now talking about an African entrepreneur competing against a multinational, a global giant. What does opening up my space really mean, okay? Does this mean dumping, okay? Does this mean resources that I cannot, muster, okay? And these are fears. Now, is that enough reason not to go the free trade route? It's debatable, okay? Now, if you don't overcome these fears, okay, I don't think you will realize the opportunity with as great an impact, or within, the time frame, that we would like, okay? Then there are a bit of complications here and there, okay? One of which is, who is Africa's Germany if we are to, compare what has taken place in the EU, with what is taking place in Africa, okay? Who is Africa's Germany? Questions like that certainly have to be answered. Who takes up certain responsibilities? And in doing so, obviously, is aware of the benefits, and ensures that they get those benefits, okay? Then, of course, I think that the AU and African governments should begin to think, in addition to the territorial and geographical expression of sovereignty, should also begin to think about the fact that ecosystems are they are transcending borders, and they shouldn't be scared of them. Ecosystems represent a huge opportunity for Africa, okay, to leapfrog its current situation, and in certain aspects, okay, attain standards that you find in Europe, North America, and Asia. Those are my views at this point on the Africa Free Trade Agreement.